Hello and welcome everybody to another StarCraft 2 cast by Glitch. Today, I'm going to be casting for you some more games from IEM Kiev. Super excited for that. All the more excited because, well, for those of you that don't know, I'm actually going to be leaving for South Korea in a couple of months to go teach English to some Korean students, as well as go watch some GSL. I'm so excited to go watch GSL there. But yes, I am going to be leaving to teach English, and because of that, I'm having to do some online courses in teaching English. And, yeah, I've been pretty much having to work on that all day today. I haven't had a chance to play StarCraft at all today, and so this is my first exposure to StarCraft of the day, except for maybe StarCraft Reddit. I do check StarCraft Reddit from time to time, and from time to time I mean about once every hour. Spawning here in the bottom left position as the purple Protoss, we have NaNiwa. His opponent spawning as the red Protoss. In the top right position, we have WhiteRa. So yes, we have two giants of the European Protoss scene. Both of these players very well known. NaNiwa just known for being ridiculously really good. Training a lot in Korea right now. I'm just playing in lots and lots of different tournaments. Very win-oriented. If you know anything about WhiteRa, you know, or NaNiwa rather, it is that he is a very highly win-oriented player. He plays to win. He does not care about fame. He doesn't care about giving a good performance for anybody who is watching. All he cares about is getting lots and lots of wins, and let me tell you, he's really good at it. Lately, I know a lot of people will say that he's been falling off a little bit lately, but honestly, I think that's really a product of the fact that he's been training in Korea so much. Anytime you go and you start making drastic changes to your style of play, there's always going to be a little bit of drop in performance just because you're changing a lot in the way you play. You're changing a lot of your basic builds and things like that. So it really takes a lot of time to redevelop new strategies and things like that. So it's almost to be expected whenever you see a player like NaNiwa move to Korea and start really training with the Koreans and starting to realize I guess what he called the proper way to play StarCraft, then he's having to do a lot of changes to his style of play. So that's the drop in tournament record, I think, is to be expected. And I don't think you can fault him too much for that. WhiteRa, of course, known for his special tactics. Yes, indeed, he is known for doing all kinds of crazy stuff, weird warp prism drops, and all kinds of other screwy fun things like that. Gonna always be a treat to watch WhiteRa play StarCraft 2. Both these players are going to be scouting each other right now. Looks like NaNiwa is going for a second warp gate after getting up his warp gate research. So it looks like it's going to be some kind of 2-gate pressure here from NaNiwa. Could this be the famed 3-stalker pressure that's very popular right now on ladder? Looks like that second gas just now being taken after the second gateway was thrown down. In the base of WhiteRa, WhiteRa's build is going to be a little bit more standard, going for that gateway, followed by gas, followed by cybernetics core, followed by that second gas. Also going to be getting out a very fast Zealot and Stalker. This is always a good opening move, and it's something that WhiteRa does quite a bit. He always likes opening with this one Zealot and this one Stalker so that he can go start to move out into the center of the map, take a little bit of map control. He was scouting his opponent's base here, so he did see the 2 gateways going down, saw the Cybernetics Core researching that warp gate technology, saw even the chrono boosts going down on that, and it looks like NaNiwa is, yes indeed, going to be doing this 3-stalker pressure. The first stalker from that first gateway was out. He then threw down the second gateway, and then started producing a stalker out of each of those gateways, so he's going to have up a very fast 2 stalkers, and now he's going to be able to take some center map control because 3 stalkers will very often beat 1 Zealot and 1 stalker. Looks like WhiteRa does now have a second stalker out on the map, but now he has a little bit of an idea that some pressure might be coming, as he did scout the double gateway from his opponent, saw both of them working on units, and it looks like NaNiwa going to be throwing down the double pylon right now, and that is actually a really smart play. And this is something that a lot of Protoss players that are going for early rushes right now are starting to do a lot, just because if you throw down the double pylon, they don't really have the time to actually take down both. They actually just won't have enough units to be able to take down both pylons, so you can just cancel whichever one he starts attacking, and then you still have a pylon up to warp units in with. So it looks like NaNiwa going to have a lot of stalkers here very early in the game, but in the base of WhiteRa, we do see that a robotics facility is now up researching, or it is producing an immortal. It is being chrono boosted out quite quickly, but WhiteRa is losing a lot of stalkers and zealots here at the front, as looks like NaNiwa is continuing to try to press into his base. Looks like a Twilight Council is now down in NaNiwa's base, and he's researching Blink, so he's going to going to be trying to get some Blink Micro here against WhiteRa, but WhiteRa is starting to get up quite a few more forces. He's got 3 gateways currently up producing Stalkers. The first Immortal is now out, and I think that is going to precipitate a quick runaway from NaNiwa, as he is now going to have a lot of trouble holding this off with this one Immortal here. That Immortal is going to do so much damage to these Stalkers. Look at how fast that Stalker dies to that Immortal. The Immortal does so much damage versus that, and it looks like, yes indeed, NaNiwa now going to be forced to pull back. He did have a second pylon where he was warping units in from, but now NaNiwa is going to be forced to go on the defensive right now, because if we look in his base right now, we can see all he has is 2 warp gates right now, and he has actually cut probes for quite a while to be able to make that attack. WhiteRa cut probes as well to be able to defend against that, but if we check out the harvester count, it looks like WhiteRa is actually going to be 1 harvester ahead, and he has been for a while, so that in the long term is going to make a little bit of a difference there in the number of units they're going to have, especially because WhiteRa also has these 4 production structures up to NaNiwa's just 2 production structures right now. He's going to be able to get up a lot more units more quickly, and so he might actually take advantage of that and go for some kind of attack timing here before NaNiwa can get any more up. In the meantime, WhiteRa taking his Nexus, and NaNiwa is also taking his Natural as well, so that's actually a little bit of a risky move here by NaNiwa, as he really only has those 2 warp gates to be able to defend. Looks like NaNiwa is just going to try to defend, going for that attack that with those Blink Stalkers, and I think that's going to be, he's figuring here that a good offense is going to be his best defense for that newly formed base, but it looks like 2 Immortals are out already for WhiteRa. A third is on the way, and it is up on the high ground. Guardian Shield going down here, and it looks like NaNiwa just going to poke in, snipe off the sentry, and just pull right back. Really, really like that. That is the one advantage that you have with Blink, is that you can always poke in, do some damage, and then just blink right back out again. Really, really good little bit of micro there from NaNiwa. In the meantime, looks like he's going to be throwing up a robotics facility as well as another gateway here. So he is going to be matching the 3-gate robo here from WhiteRa. And oh no, actually we do have a 4th gateway now coming down here for NaNiwa in the base of WhiteRa, still just operating on 3 warp gates and that robotics facility, but he's producing a lot of Immortals quite quickly here, and notice because of that his food count is actually going to be jumping up quite a bit higher than NaNiwa's, already sitting at 67 food to 54 food of NaNiwa. His Natural is also up and mining right now. NaNiwa focusing a little bit on these Stalkers too much. He hasn't main-arted any workers yet down to the lower position, so he's had this base up for a little while, but hasn't had any workers at all mining on it. There we go. The main art is coming down now, but it's just a little bit late here, and I don't know. I think WhiteRa will have actually have the better econ right now. He actually has more harvesters, even 35 harvesters to 31, and in a mirror matchup, that is actually a big deal. You do not want to be that far behind in harvesters, because that basically means that you're going to be getting about 120 minerals per minute less than your opponent, which is really going to start to make a big difference in the long term. Looks like WhiteRa is now moving out. He is now at 82 food to the 64 food of NaNiwa. He's chrono boosting out some probes here, hasn't taken a 3rd and 4th cast at all yet, still operating on just these 3 gateways and this robo, and he's now pushing pretty aggressively towards NaNiwa's base, and NaNiwa really doesn't have a whole lot to be able to hold this right now. He only has 1 Immortal, he's got 4 sentries up, but only these 6 Stalkers here, and this is actually going to be a little bit tricky, I think, for these NaNiwa. Oh man, I don't know. This Immortal count from WhiteRa is still pretty high. Force field's going down, but I think a lot of the units are still firing. The only thing this is really hindering is that 1 Zealot that's out there, and WhiteRa starting to deal a lot of damage to these forces. Probes now being pulled off the line here for NaNiwa, and NaNiwa actually losing a lot of probes to this push. He is now going to be at 10 workers killed so far. And that is going to put him way behind. He almost has no mining now going on at his Natural, and it looks like WhiteRa, this push is going to be stopped, but now NaNiwa is down 54 food to 51, and it looks like WhiteRa is going to have the capabilities to throw up quite a few more units here quickly, and WhiteRa actually throwing down more gateways right now, and I think this is a bit of a mistake here by WhiteRa, as all he really needs to be focusing on is getting out lots and lots more units, because as we can see, these Blink Stalkers have already reached the front of WhiteRa's base. All he needs to do is just hold on. If he can just hold on, he's going to have the worker lead. 45 harvesters to 25 at the moment. WhiteRa just needs to pump out lots and lots of units right now. Needs to be focusing a lot of chrono boosts onto these warp gates, and then just pumping out tons and tons of units. But oh no, it looks like NaNiwa just reached the front of WhiteRa's base. He does have 2 Immortals, quite a few Blink Stalkers, and WhiteRa doesn't really have a whole lot to be able to defend this. He needs to be able to pull these probes back off the line, needs to save as many probes as he can, needs to stay alive for as long as he can. but no, it looks like WhiteRa is just going to be pulling back and playing defensive. He needs to pull these probes to really be able to deal with this kind of a push here. I don't think he has the forces to be able to deal with this right now. Another Immortal is now coming out, as well as 3 more Blinkstalkers, but is it going to be enough? I just don't think so. The Blinkstalker numbers here for NaNiwa are just really high, and I think NaNiwa actually might take this game despite being down in Harvesters, 38 Harvesters to 25, and NaNiwa now pushing into the main base of WhiteRa. GG comes down from WhiteRa. Brilliantly played game there by NaNiwa. Really executed that timing. He really had to win with that push. If he didn't win with that push right there, that would have been the end of him. That was just too much of a harvester lead from WhiteRa. So well played game there by both players. Gonna have to see if WhiteRa can come back from that in game 2 and push this to a game 3. So stick around, guys. NaNiwa versus WhiteRa game 2 from IEM Kiev coming up in just a moment.